Welcome back to Valiant Effort. I'm Nick.
And I'm Ted.
And today we're driving a 2019 Golf Alltrack S in automatic. We should probably note that because you could buy this in manual.
Yeah.
So it's 2022 and you want a wagon, but not just any wagon. You want all-wheel drive, Apple CarPlay, a reliable and efficient powertrain. You don't want to go into debt buying the damn thing. And holy God almighty, you don't want a CVT. The 2019 Volkswagen Golf Alltrack might be your only option.
We've done just about every version of modern Volkswagen interior, and now we've kind of completed our engine experience as well, because we did the 2.0,
Right.
Well, two different types of 2.0s, the 1.5,
Yep.
which is just a revision of the 1.4,
Yeah.
and now this has the 1.8,
Right.
which is, so if you're looking at this, yeah,
It's definitely got more pickup down low than the Taos.
yeah. It's peppy. It's
Yeah.
nice. It's got like, what, 170 horsepower, like 200 foot-pounds or thereabouts.
Yes. Yeah.
Put that up on the screen. But
Honestly, compared to Jacob's GLI, it doesn't feel that much slower.
yeah,
It's been a while since I've driven it, but I remember even when we had the GTI and I would drive this, it's not as like noticeable as you'd think. But this would be the ultimate car if it was available with the 2-liter from the factory.
yeah. Because the 2-liter is probably a better motor.
Yeah, it's more tunable. I mean, like this
Yeah.
thing would be a riot with 250 horsepower or something.
Oh yeah, and if you could because you can get these in a manual, which is
Yeah.
pretty cool. No,
And honestly, I get the appeal of wagons. Like, they are still fun. You know, we're doing 120 around this corner. Not even in kilometers, but that was like 25.
but they're a little more tossable than their sort of their raised up siblings.
Like the Taos really wasn't that enjoyable. It was just,
No.
it was literally for daily driving duty.
It is a perfect commuter car. I think this also does perfect commuter car
Yeah.
duties, but you can kind of have a little bit of, like, this doesn't have a limited slip or anything. So,
I doubt it.
I mean, it's not going to be, it's not going to be sporting in any real
No.
way, but it's nice. Like Jettas and Golfs, like they've always been a little more fun to drive than their Camry counterparts.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is the same. Like, I would rather drive this than probably most of those things, even though they don't, like, none of them come in wagons or anything.
Right.
But
Then take it right here.
yeah, that's got,
It's enough.
acceleration. It is accelerating. I mean, it doesn't feel right there. It feels a good chunk faster than the 2.5. Oh dear. Okay, it's almost dead.
Yeah, whatever.
Didn't kill that squirrel. Yeah, it feels a little faster down low. Overall, I don't think it really feels all that much faster. I mean, the power numbers are not that dissimilar.
Right, you're just gonna get the torque a little lower from the turbo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I actually really like, this is electric steering, right?
It has to be, yeah.
It feels it. I actually kind of like it maybe a little bit better. It's like, it's very smooth and easy. And
It wasn't notchy, kind of like some of the electric steerings are.
Yeah.
Even the Cayman, I get that feeling a little bit.
And from the driver's seat, like, this super, like, I really like this a lot. Brakes feel good. They're really easy to mod. There's no, like,
They're not as grabby as like your normal Volkswagen brake.
they're a little more
Modulated.
Yeah, they're easier to modulate for sure. There's no, like, sort of minute dead spot and then bam,
Right.
because I feel like that's usually how Volkswagen brakes are, which is great on the R, but in this I'd rather it be this way, nice and smooth. And how's, yeah, that's not terrible. Yeah, that's nice.
Performance for the Alltrack is just fine and dandy. Is it fast? Not really. And let's be honest, it's not a GTI or GLI in the corners, but it's got reasonable power, lovely steering, and you can even get a manual. I mean, how cool is that? This car doesn't exceed its performance stablemates in the corners, but we think it's a quieter and smoother car to daily, which is what this car is all about anyway.
All right, let's get the low-hanging fruit out of the way.
Yeah.
The interior is generic Volkswagen. Okay? It's not bad.
No, it's very nice. And for an S, leather seats, they're heated.
Yep.
Apple CarPlay, it's the baby screen.
Yep.
But it's still touchscreen and
Right.
nice
It's
and
got,
works.
the touch points are nice.
I really like this trim, design.
I really
color.
think I like it more than the Golf R.
It's pretty.
It is. And it's kind of like, it has like a nice lacquer over it.
Yeah. It's like a faux carbon fiber, but tasteful.
Right.
I just, we've reviewed this interior 1,000 times.
Right. If you want to see the screen, watch the Taos video. No. Watch the GLI video, because it's going to have the more basic screen where we really talk about it. If you want to see the nicer screen that was probably available in the SE or the SEL, then probably watch the Golf R video, or the GTI video, or the Taos video.
Right.
I think they were a decent price point new. Like you said, a lot of great standard options, but I mean, I don't know, like the DSG, it is all-wheel drive. It's kind of like a really nice little package. I think it rides a little bit better than like a normal Golf body. Like the wagon definitely adds a little bit, I think.
Yeah, you get the longer wheelbase, so the ride's a little more supple.
It also seems a little quieter to me, even than like the GTI, like wind noise and kind of like almost like rigidity wise, it doesn't feel kind of as like it's getting blown around. But it's
probably heavier
because it's all-wheel drive
and because it's a wagon.
Exactly.
And I think the materials
the weight
are about
helps
the same. I think the weight makes it feel a little bit more luxurious.
Even compared to the Taos, which was a brand new car, this does feel a little bit better.
Yeah, it's a little softer. I feel like, at the end of the day, I think actually these seats are a little softer than all the other stuff we've driven. They're a little more comfort oriented.
They're still not as soft as the Golf R, but they're definitely softer than the Taos and absolutely softer than the GTI.
Yeah, and they're a little wider than the Golf R. So if you got a fat butt like us, then I think they're maybe on a long trip. But even then, it's not. There's not huge differences. This is all Volkswagen stuff.
Though we've talked about this interior many times, we continue to love it. It's got a great layout, it has all the tech you need in a modern car, the seats are more comfortable than we expected, and we really liked some of the material choices in this car over its MBQ siblings. So this car is better to drive than the Taos and Tiguan. It's actually better to drive than most crossovers, and as a result, we highly recommend this car. The issue is the strangely high prices these are commanding on the used market. Is that a deal breaker?
I would rather drive this than the Taos. I like being low, I like the wagon, I like the way it looks. But I think what we're going to be getting into here is why maybe that's not a great decision.
Yeah.
If the price was a bit more normalized, I would choose this if it were 1-to-1.
Yeah.
Price wise. But I think the issue that we're running into, and this is what Nick was saying before, just a second ago about, car enthusiasts like wagons, and so they buy them used, and most people don't want wagons. So they don't buy them new. So the wagons go away because the mass populace, the general population doesn't want them.
Right.
But then the car enthusiasts all go and try to snatch them up used, and thus we have, in addition to all the other sort of weird market things going on right now, these are priced ridiculously.
Yeah.
Yeah,
even at 50,000 miles, I think that my parents would get out of this for maybe a little bit more than what they paid.
We saw, now these, the S is probably, what, 30 grand new?
New, yeah, it was probably 29.9 or something silly.
We saw one that is basically a new car, right? Had 170 miles on it or something.
Yeah.
For 41.
Yeah.
That's a 10 grand premium over MSRP.
Well, it was an SEL. It wasn't an S.
Oh, it was an SEL? Okay, so a 5 grand premium?
But it's still 3-4-year-old car at this point.
Yeah. And it's got the older tech. It doesn't have digital dash. It has, not that that's a huge deal, but for a lot of people.
For 42 grand, I was kind of thinking about this earlier. You buy a freaking B9 A4. Then you have real all-wheel drive. You have the ZF8 speed. It's just all around a better car.
The 3rd Gen 2-liter is great. And if you're interested in modding, that's a better car anyway.
250 horsepower.
Yeah.
Or I feel like it gets tough because if you don't need all-wheel drive, just go for an older model, like kind of what you guys are doing.
Yeah, because we don't need all-wheel drive. So.
Like, I think even those are a little overpriced, but they're not. Like, I think it's probably, like, what you're buying is probably a $6,500 car in a normal market.
Right, and we're paying, like, a $1,500, $2,000 premium.
Yeah, but that's just normal for everything right now. But
Yeah.
I don't know. These just feel really excessive.
Well, and the other car that we were looking at that was in the $8,000 to $12,000 price range for something with, like, 70 to 120,000 miles was the Acura TSX wagon. Those are, like, 16 grand for one that's got 160,000 miles on it. It's like, it's ridiculous. And so those kind of fall into this category. So we just said, all right, let's just get the Volkswagen.
Right.
You know? Like, I like the 5-cylinder, and I like how they look better anyway. But for this, you know, our thing is kind of like, go old if you don't want all-wheel drive, or just get a Taos.
So given stiff competition on the used market and the ridiculous price of these, what is our final verdict? Strangely enough, it comes down to its assumed reliability over some of its Audi and VW alternatives.
I just don't know if it's a big upgrade over, like, older models, but then again, it's the only all-wheel drive variant that's ever kind of been around in a wagon form.
Yeah. Which is big for someone who, and this is a smaller slice of the population, but for someone who wants a car with a lot of that cargo space that a crossover brings you, but wants to drive something that feels like a car and looks like a car, because honestly, half of this is the aesthetics.
Yeah.
You know, like, wagons do look better than crossovers. They just do.
They do. But I think, you know, we were talking kind of off camera, and we both agreed that the issue in America is that car people want wagons, non-car people don't.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the biggest issue, because non-car people want big SUVs to be off the ground.
Mm-hmm. Go be up high, and, you know, which I get, you know, that's fine.
Right. I mean, even Alexis, she doesn't love the look of the wagon. She thinks that it looks kind of bad, which I still disagree with. But so it just dawned on me why this car, even for the price, might be a better value than even the all-road. And my dad has a 2014 with, you know, 100,000 miles, whatever it is.
2-liter?
2-liter. They all are.
Yeah.
And it's supposed, you know, like 2013, 2014, 2015 are kind of supposed to have the whole oil issue resolved.
Yeah.
It's still not resolved.
Yeah.
He puts a quart of oil in it every fill up.
Yeah.
Which, like, whatever. If that's all it takes, that's all it takes.
You just change your oil filter every 7,000 miles or whatever, and you have fresh oil in it all the time. It sucks, but, like, there are worse problems to have.
But, like, this, I think, is probably a more reliable engine.
Yeah.
But there's also drawbacks, like, this is a Haldex, you know, a timing belt, so you have to do the belt.
Yeah.
But again, it's a known failure point, so it's meant to be serviced,
it's a maintenance
unlike
item.
a chain.
Yeah. A chain, in theory, should never be serviced.
Right.
This is designed to be serviced.
Right. And then you also have the Haldex, which we've talked about in every Volkswagen video we've ever done that's all-wheel drive.
Yep.
There is a maintenance cost associated with it. It is a DSG, where the all-road, I don't know what the B8.5 is. I don't know that it's a ZF, but I don't think it's a DSG either.
Yeah, I thought it was the 8-speed, but
it definitely is a non-DSG. I just don't know if it's...
We'll put it on the screen.
Right. So, like, there's a service cost associated with that.
Yeah.
But, like, this car has 47,000 miles. I don't know that my mom has ever done the DSG service. I'm not saying you should not do it, but it feels fine.
Yeah. Definitely do it, because long term you'll see the effects of that probably, like at 120,000. But I would say, you know, if you're late to getting to it, like, these cars are pretty robust.
Right.
You know, I mean, the 1.8 has been around for a long time, and people seem to like it. I mean, I don't know. It's certainly not your most moddable engine.
I want to say in America, the 1.8, at least Audi-wise, came out in, like, 99. So this engine's probably been in the United States for at least 20 years.
And we know that Volkswagen tends to get things right after a while. Like, even when things come out, like, usually you want to stay away from the first model year. But
Right.
once they figure it out, they're usually pretty good. Like the third
Yeah.
gen 2-liter is fantastic.
Yeah.
And the supercharged V6 from his S4 are also fantastic.
Right.
So,
Yeah, longevity-wise, I mean, obviously there's always going to be maintenance items, but
yeah.
like as a generic engine at this point, it's good.
Yeah.
So should you buy a 2019 Golf Alltrack? Unfortunately, the answer is yes and no. In a vacuum, this is a fantastic car to daily in just about every way. We just can't get over the price. I mean, some of these are over the original MSRP for a 3-year-old example. So is something like a new Taos a better value? Yeah, we hate to say it, but it is. This may be the better car, but the price might just be more than it's worth. Thanks for watching.
Your opinion.
Right. I would maybe take a left. I just think it might be. You know what? Take a right. Yeah.